Welcome back to Top Choice Movies Recap. Today's film is a 2014 psychological thriller movie titled No Good Deed. Watch out for spoilers. Sit back and enjoy it. A news report about the criminal Colin Evans, played by Idris Elba, is seen in the opening picture. After being imprisoned for 5 years on a manslaughter charge for the murder of a man and the deaths of 5 women, he is eligible for release. In his presentation to the parole committee, Colin claims that he is prepared to rejoin society and that he is embarrassed of his acts. The board chairman, however, doesn't believe that for a second, arguing Colin is a violent offender and a malignant narcissist, and everyone knows the families of the 5 women wouldn't be glad to see him walk free. Colin's parole is rejected, and the chairman's comments reverberate in his head. Colin appears to have a blooded nose, as he is being driven back to jail in a vehicle. He begs for assistance only to take the guard's gun and put him in a headlock after grabbing it. The motorist pulls over and points his gun at Colin. The driver obeys Colin's calm instruction to put the pistol down. He then shoots the guard and the driver, allowing him to flee. In the next scene, we first see Terri, played by Taraji P. Henson, cradling her infant Sam and attempting to chat on the phone. While landscapers are working outside Terri's house and her daughter Ryan, played by Mirage Moonshine, rides around the house, Terri's closest friend Meg, played by Leslie Bibb, enters while jogging. She observes Terri's excessive workload and recommends a girls' night out. Jeffrey, played by Henry Simmons, Terri's husband, arrives home later. Terri notices that he is irritable and unhelpful despite his assurances to the contrary, but immediately starts packing for a vacation to celebrate his father's birthday. Colin is now stalking Alexis, played by Kate Del Castillo, in Atlanta, Georgia, while hiding in a van. He sees her talking to a man in front of a cafe, and Alexis gives him a hug. Before Alexis returns home, he breaks in and confronts her for not waiting for him whenever he got out. "Didn't want to wake you up because you look so gorgeous when you sleep," the note reads. He pulls it out. Alexis rushes to the door in fear, but Colin stops her. She bolts for her room, where Colin forces her to reveal that she had been having an extramarital affair. Once more, the words echo in his mind as he places his palm on Alexis's throat. After breaking her neck, he beat her severely with a lamp. A powerful storm erupts at night. Terri prepares her children for dinner. Colin veers off the road and crashes his van into a tree. He walks until he reaches Terri's residence. She responds when he rings the doorbell. Colin requests to use her phone to make a tow truck request. Colin informs Terri that the tow truck won't arrive right away after purportedly using the phone. Terri welcomes him inside and retouches a cut on his brow. Colin is beguiling and amenable toward Terri, as well as Ryan when she comes around. Terri serves Colin tea and inquires as to whether he is seeing anybody. He says he had an ex-fiancée that he caught cheating him. Meg comes over with wine and is drawn to Colin. They share the wine and Meg offers remarks about how Terri used to be a wild young lady and inquires as to whether that is a shock. He expresses not by any stretch. While Terri goes to keep an eye on her children, Colin asks Meg where he can smoke. She guides him to the carport and goes along with him in the smoke. Meg inquires as to whether there's a going thing on with him and Terri. He grins and doesn't let out the slightest peep, driving Meg to think her companion is having an unsanctioned romance. Colin proposes that Terri is keeping things from Meg, which incenses her and prompts her to face Terri, until Colin takes a digging tool and kills Meg with it. He hauls her body aside. Terri sees Colin alone and asks where Meg is. He says she left, however Terri sees Meg's umbrella actually lying by the coat rack. Terri goes to call Meg and sees the telephone lines are cut, and every one of the knives are devoid from their holder in the kitchen. She goes higher up to see Colin playing with Ryan, and afterward detects the weapon toward the rear of his jeans. Terri orders him to put Ryan down. They leave the room, and Terri goes after the fire quencher and splashes Colin, then hits him over the head so he tumbles down the steps. Terri rushes to her children, yet Colin rapidly figures out how to recover back to his feet and advises her to put Sam down and to go with him. She shuts the way to the children's room, and Colin takes out his firearm on her, warning her advance to avoid any such thing once more. He takes her to the restroom and makes her stand still in the shower with him as he washes himself of the froth. He then makes Terri strip down and put on something else. Thinking he will assault her, she advises Colin to get this over with, yet he tells her not to compliment herself. Terri snaffles a lamp and whacks Colin over the head with it, and even manages to poke him in the side. She runs for her children, yet indeed, Colin is excessively quick for her. Colin coerces Terri to take her children to her vehicle so they can make their escape. While going through the carport, Terri sees Meg's horrendous body lying as an afterthought. Out and about, while on the road, Terri sees a cop and rapidly flags him with the headlights when Colin isn't looking. The cop follows them and makes her draw over. Colin snatches Sam and imagines that he was crying and needed to comfort him. The cop gets dubious when Ryan requests her father. Terri gets out of the vehicle and makes an effort not to be clear to the cop as Colin can hear her. The cop sees Terri persistently peeping at the vehicle, and he sorts out something is off base. He tells Terri not to move as Colin gets out of the vehicle, and Colin shoots the cop dead. He moves the man's body down the slope. Colin makes Terri drive to Alexa's home. He brings her up to the room where her body is as yet lying. He ties Terri up yet is pulled away when her vehicle caution goes off. Alexa's wireless begins ringing. Terri figures out how to release herself and pick up the telephone. A man's voice answers saying he's been calling on various occasions, yet Terri perceives the voice having a place with Jeffrey. In any case, he answers, Alexis. Consequently, Terri assembles that Colin got Jeffrey's name and address off the note that he tracked down close to Alexa's bed prior that day, and it was no mishap that he ran over her home. He's been looking for retribution. Terri then tells Jeffrey that Alexis is dead and to call the police. She rushes to get the children, however Colin is strolling back to the house. Terri conceals the children in the wardrobe and runs higher up, snatching a knife for security. Colin almost tracks down the children, however Terri diverts him. He gets her in the room and begins to battle Terri. He attempts to choke her, yet she pokes him in his side injury with her keys, and even beats him with something weighty. He seems oblivious until he snatches Terri and brings her down. Then she snatches Colin's weapon and shoots him once, of course, and afterward on different occasions until he drops through the window to his demise. The police show up, alongside Jeffrey. He finds Terri and has a go at saying sorry as far as she might be concerned, yet she answers by smacking him hard upside the head. Sometime later, Terri has moved to another home with the children. She actually conveys an image of her and Meg. Terri has also hired a nanny so she can go back to work as a lawyer. We see both Terri and her new nanny take the kids to the recreation area during a bright evening. Lovely people, just so you know, Colin did not end up at the home of Terri by accident, as the movie had led you to believe. Her husband had been having an affair with Colin's ex-fiancée, and the whole thing has been part of Colin's plan for revenge. Moral lessons: living in a spacious house in a nice area should only be a good thing, but sometimes the creepiness factor can set in, especially when no one's around. In other words, be mindful of living in a secluded area. Clearly, there is a lesson to be learned from all of this. Do not ever give strangers a ride from the side of the road even if they are as seemingly charming and handsome as Colin. These films serve a rather good lesson on the dangers of showing too much hospitality towards anyone. You should also be mindful of what you say to a total stranger. It doesn't matter how bold you think you are in confronting a stranger. As a man, you should also be contented with your spouse and accept her the way she is. You are the reason why she has lost shape, after giving birth to your children. When you are not okay with some changes concerning your spouse, cultivate the habit of talking it over, as that will solve most of your marital problems. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the movie you just watched in the comments box below. And don't forget to subscribe for more movie recaps to come your way. Stay safe.